Very good afternoon to all of you friends, the distinguished panelists, the faculty members, our students of MBA and MCA program, and also the prospective students who wish to join this institution of ours. I welcome you very heartily, although not at a very opportune time, but yes, you are all welcome anyway. Now, I have been asked to welcome everyone, but other than that, I would also like to share my thoughts on the topic at hand before the distinguished panelists who have come from different industries share their views on that. So here are my 2 cents. You know, if you look at the theme of this webinar, basically embedded in this theme itself are 3 basic sub-themes. One is the COVID crisis by itself. Then there is the post-lockdown scenario, how it is going to unfold from here on. And then the opportunities, if at all, they are presented in future, the new avenues that open up. So about COVID crisis, all of you must be really fed up of all the things that you've heard, and there's nothing else to do for us sitting at home. But what I want to draw your attention to is that how, why, and how did it originate really? Was it really that bat's flesh that the Chinese ate and that's how it went about? Or was it the country batting for the economic, social, and political World Cup batting? So this is a question which looms large as we go ahead. Whether COVID is something natural that has come about by genetic mutation, or whether COVID is a product man-made in the labs, that is a question that will still be there and will unfold over a period of time, hopefully. Secondly, the important aspect that which I want to emphasize upon is that all of us are placing a lot of emphasis. All our attention is drawn towards the COVID and how to handle it and the social distancing and how many deaths and what is the morbidity rate and whatever. But important, and the most important part of it is that we are losing sight of the social, economic, and the political upheaval that this COVID crisis is causing and will cause in future. You know, way back, if you look, during the Iraq war, when it began, there was a talk of chemical warfare being conducted by Iraq, but that was just limited to an area, a specific area in the Gulf region. This COVID has engulfed the entire world, and this is unprecedented, perhaps in the history of mankind, that the entire planet is covered by this. There have been pandemics in the past, but they were either restricted to a state, city, or a nation. But this has gone worldwide. So this is about COVID crisis. The important point to be made here is we have to look at the socio-economic and political and geopolitical fallout of this COVID-19. And is it serving a purpose for somebody? That's the most important question. Now, on the post-lockdown scenario, which we are entering right now. Now, to me, post-lockdown doesn't mean that as and when the government opens up the airlines, the railways, and the means of communication, the colleges and everything open up, that will be the end and everything is hunky-dory. No, sorry, it is not going to be like that. Unless a vaccine is found, unless proper medications are identified and which are affordable, COVID is going to be a part of life, at least till near future. So we have to be cautious, patiently cautious, happily cautious about whatever we are doing. And we have to plan accordingly. But unless a vaccine is found of this virus, it is not right to say that post-lockdown period, everything will be back on the tracks. No, it will not. Secondly, the economic costs, the political costs. Now, you know, we know the great rivalry between the two superpowers and India sandwiched in between. China trying to be a hegemonistic state. And no matter, while US may claim to be the richest country in the world, China is no less. So how it is going to translate itself in the political scene, in the international relations part, is another thing that is going to affect all of us at a very macro level. At a micro level, you already see the marriages are happening in a funny way. You know, the times of giving a bear hug perhaps are not there in near future. And I pity the young generation. You know what I mean, you know. Times of social distance, two meters away. I'm madly in love with you, but 2 meters away, from 2 meters away, right? So this is how things are. The social fallout of this is equally important. And there are going to be some very, very massive individual behavioral changes in an individual. Like we have been sitting in our houses for 2 months at a stretch, carrying our anxieties, carrying our stresses, carrying our fears. Now, all these are going to play up. All these are going to play up. But we have to control them. We have to learn to live with them and excel. That's the important part. To the younger generation, I'll say that not everything is lost. And that brings us to the opportunities aspect of it. Now I have raised the doomsday scenario of economic fallout and the political fallout. But the most important part that I'm coming to are the opportunities that COVID will present. As I said, virus is something that will be dealt by biologists, biochemists, pharmacists. I am not an expert on that, but that thing is going on. What we as students of business management, and me particularly being a student of business management, and to a certain extent strategy, which is my favorite subject, I would like to dwell on that. The immediate India, in a way, is situated in a blessed position in one way. In another way, it is in a very, being close to the major power called China, we have our share of problems. But I see a silver lining in this. The industries have almost seems to have lost faith in China as a manufacturing point. And the way I see this government of ours taking proactive steps, so for example, states like Uttar Pradesh, state like Madhya Pradesh, they have opened the floodgates of incentives and all kinds of facilities to whichever industry wants to relocate from China to India. All facilities, no holds barred. Every facility has been, they are at least promising, and things are happening, I am told. As and when they do, we'll see. The companies that would like to move in are of all kinds. We are talking of manufacturing. Now separate it from technology. Technology is in the cyberspace. That, of course, is going to go through a massive change. But manufacturing will create lots of jobs, lots and lots of jobs. Yes, immediately as soon as the lockdown opens, we go to work, we'll find there will be job losses. Because the existing industries have, just imagine, for 2 months, there is no cash flow. There is no money flowing in the market. There is no consumption. There is no demand. So it is going to affect all corners. So in the immediate future, yes, we may be finding job losses, or we may at least be finding that there are no new jobs happening. But trust me, if my reading is correct, given a period of 1 year, there will be plenty of jobs because of all these industries who come to India. If they relocate, that is the big if I am raising. But if they relocate, then there are going to be, first of all, a major spread of industries across India in states where there is no industrial background at the moment, and who can offer better options by way of infrastructure, by way of land, by way of electricity, and so on and so forth. And importantly, not only blue collar, but white collar labor will be in great demand. There will be demand for junior level and senior level supervisors, executives, and managers. So for all I know, you are looking at a boom time also. 1 year from now, you are looking at a boom time in job market. This is my feeling. This is what I feel. Let's see how it unfolds. I will conclude now by talking last about the education aspect. Now, you know, this webinar may address two issues from the education point of view. One is the way we have our teaching learning process. This will be redefined completely. We'll be relying more on technology. The classrooms will be smaller. We will be removing one desk each from each side. We'll make sure that you don't come closer to each other in whatever way possible. We'll also, the examination pattern will have to change. Most importantly, the students will have to be mastering the technological aspects. They have to be good at computing. There is no shortcut to it now. You know, like this very presentation. For all you know, your learning resource, the biggest learning resource will be webinars like this, or classroom lectures, virtual classroom lectures like this. So students have to rewire themselves to comprehend what is being taught through webinars, as well as communicate through webinars. This is one aspect of education that both faculty and students have to learn. Thirdly, when you go to the job market, virtual space is what is going to, your performance, your efficiency in the virtual space. You don't need to be a computer geek for that, but you definitely need to be very efficient in using computing, using technology, so as to communicate and comprehend both. It is important that students pick up these soft skills. They are going to be the differentiator of individuals from now on. Earlier, we used to get together in a conference hall on a tabletop, dressed up in a tie, making yourself very presentable and delivering a very effective presentation. Time may come when you will only be talking from home, like I am talking to you at this point of time. So unless we are very effectively doing that, we'll not be able to put out our ideas. One big opportunity that has been thrown up by this government, and for which I must really congratulate the government, if you would have looked at 20 lakh crores extra budgetary allocation by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is something which can change the scenario. Another thing, Madam Sitharaman, if you look at the distribution of this 20 lakh crores, the major emphasis has been on two sectors. One is agriculture and the other is MSMEs, medium, small, micro, small and medium enterprises. And who runs micro, small and medium enterprises? The young entrepreneurs, the startups. The floodgates have been opened for financing them, making available all facilities. Besides, remember all these big companies which will be relocating to India. When you look at, let's say you look at a company like Samsung, who are making, let's say, these mobile phones. When you say Samsung, you essentially are talking about those 1,000 small units which are making the component parts which go into this mobile, which are making those packaging materials. Samsung doesn't make them all. They are sourced from outside. Who are making this? Those entrepreneurs, those small scale entrepreneurs, those micro enterprises, packaging material, and name it. the supply chain system across the world is going to be redefined. Each and everything that I am telling you about, like this supply chain restructuring, you know, we can have a 2-hour seminar on this one topic. So each and every factor that I've told you about merits a separate webinar for 2 hours. But to my young friends who are going to join, who have not yet joined MBA program and who are aspiring to join MBA program, please rest assured, this is something we do every Saturday with my friends. And I wish to spend a lot of time looking at these opportunities and trying to see that you guys can take the maximum opportunities at your end and become successful. I think I have had enough. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your patience. I know I have extended my time, and thank you everyone. God bless you.